Hello and welcome to the skating lesson. My name is Dave Lees, and today I'm thrilled to welcome back one of my favorite guests, the very passionate Elena Betchke, to talk about the 2025 Russian Figure Skating Championships. Welcome back.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you? You had hip surgery the last time I talked to you, so how are you doing?
I'm good. Everything's great. Everything's back to normal.
Are
Thank
you
you.
back on the ice chasing your students?
Yes, I was back on 3 weeks after the surgery, so I'm good.
Are you skating better than before? Like the
Nah, no. I still have some issues, but it's okay.
Okay.
I'm not trying to be what I was 20 years ago. I'm not.
Well, we recently saw your former coach, Tamara Moskvina, skating
Yeah,
at 83 years old. Like, is this your goal? Will you be doing this as well?
I certainly hope so because she was amazing. I emailed, I said, "How can you do this?" She goes, "It's easy." So, I'm hoping that I'll be able to do the same or more.
So,
Yeah.
have you spoken to Tamara lately, or do you keep in touch with her? So, she had the nationals, and yeah.
Yeah, I keep in touch with her after each competition because I watch, and of course, I want to tell her how proud I am and how I hold it like this to watch and want her pair team to win, no matter what. So
Okay,
yeah, we talk. But she's my mentor, even after all this years, she's still my mentor and my good friend.
that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to ask you about watching her teams throughout this season because this year they had a slower start to the season. I had spoken to her over the summer, and she had told me about how Alexander Galliamov was taking his exams, and then there was some talk that she was making Anastasia Mishina run before practice because they had had a slower start, but they've been winning all throughout the season. So, I guess what's your take on their progress so far?
Well, I think they did have a slow start. Even when you watch their first competitions, they were slow. Like I wanted to tell Tamara, push them, because it looked like halfway through the program, it just slow. Well, she said that they had some issues, some illnesses, and some other distractions. But I think hard work that they actually do, knowing Tamara,
Mhm.
that's what it does. The hard work pays off. And I think the progress is unbelievable because this last event, they looked like never before. I mean, they were amazing.
Mhm.
Speed, technique, cleanness, charisma, everything, unison. It's absolutely perfect 10, in my opinion.
I want to ask you about your take because, Boykova and Kozlovsky, they moved to Moscow. They have been, training and they were working on that quad sow. They did it in shows. And then right
Mhm.
before the start of the season, they didn't compete it. And then it seems like their other elements have been suffering. So I was wondering what your take is because they were in some ways the favorites entering this season, right before the season started.
Absolutely. When I watched the first couple of events, I thought, wow, those are great because the short program is absolutely stunning. It's unusual, it's the costume and the presentation and the character. Long program, honestly, I had to think what they're trying to say. And until I knew exactly what the program was about, I couldn't tell. The
Mhm.
costume, I want to know what I'm watching, I want to understand. And yes, I agree, they entered the season as favorites because they look more fit, they were faster, they were stronger, and the quad sulk out, they were threatening they were going to do it. But I think part of the problem is they always want to win. They always want to prove that they're better. And I think that just takes away from what they actually capable of because they're amazing. I mean, I watch them, they're so super athletic. But I
Mhm.
think the desire to win, to beat Mishina and Galliamov is like catching up with them. I remember my days, I was the same way. I wanted to win. I focused on the wrong thing. Do
Mhm.
your job instead of trying to win. And I think that's why they're struggling this season because, yes, they were amazing. I think events when they competed against other couples, they looked better than the events when they were face to face with the enemy. And I
Mhm.
think part of the issue is they want to win. And that's just me because
I
I
have to
live that.
ask
I
about
know
you.
that. I live that life.
Because I always see that whenever Natalia Miskutchanok's pairs, um, have a successful competition, you're one of the first people to comment and congratulate her on Facebook. But I also have heard that you were a nightmare in the ring, a kashmar, that you were just like Sasha Boykova. Is that correct?
I was bad. I was bad. And looking back, I'm almost 59. I look back thinking, what were you thinking? If
Mhm.
you were not as silly for years, and if you paid attention to the right thing, you could have done a lot better. And
Mhm.
yes, I agree with you. But also, I was watching Alena Kosternaya documentary, and I
Yes.
was like, oh my God, this was me. How bad it looked. I was like that. And it makes me feel bad because, now that I'm older and I see these things happening, yes, I regret. I cannot do anything about it. All I could think of, okay, well, back then I thought I did my best, but honestly, focusing on the wrong thing is the wrong thing. So that's just how I feel about it.
I want to ask you a couple of things because obviously
Yeah.
you competed as a professional, so you have a different viewpoint. You know, Alyona Kostornaya is supposed to take a 2-year break. We still see her doing shows and doing seminars, and we see that she
Mhm.
jumps, but without the real pair training and the background in pair skating, do you think that she could really come back in 2 years, you know, to competition, or is she just too much lost time because she hasn't mastered the vocabulary of pair skating yet?
I think after the Olympics, there'll be a lot of changes. I think some pair teams will turn pro and it will be easier for them to come back. But without training, which it sounds like they're not training pairs right now, or it's going to be very difficult to come back and be at that standard that needs to be to enter new 4 years for the following Olympics. I think, in my opinion, not realistic, but you never say never, you never know what's going to happen. And she's amazing. She's a great athlete and he's good. And I mean, if they put together, if they really take care of each other to begin with, because what I see in that sportsmanship on the ice, what they do, what she does to him can ruin what they might possibly have later. Because when you're in a pair and you basically yell at your partner, it's
Mhm.
not good. It's not good. Specifically when you yell at a male partner, because guys are always rocks. They always feel like, okay, I got this. And if you constantly yell that on you hear that, well, you don't know what you're doing, this and that. It kills confidence and it kills desire to do better. That's watching them struggling in practice makes me feel like, oh, you make it all impossible to come back. Because either way you look at it, if you continue this type of relationship on the ice, eventually it's going to affect off the ice because they're a married couple. Again, I lived that life. I know exactly what it feels like when you struggle on the ice and you try your best not to bring it home, but you do
Mhm.
because it's like that little in his heart and his soul will grow eventually. And that's what I don't want to see them go through, because I think they really love each other. And as a married couple, they should have everything they want.
Mhm.
That's just how I feel.
What was your take on their actual skating that we saw them get to this point? I know Tchaikovskaya had said that they were
Mhm.
still two single skaters. What was your take on that?
They could have had brighter future. They could have, absolutely. But it takes time. It takes years.
Mhm.
And he entered this couple, the skating together thing. He was already experienced pair skater. She wasn't.
Mhm.
Mostly it depended on her to catch up with him as pair skills.
Mhm.
And I think they if they didn't quit, if they stayed patient and kept training, maybe with different coaches team, I don't know who to suggest, but I think they could have done better and they could do better next couple of years. But if they're taking a break, it's like going to school, skipping fifth and sixth grade and then jumping straight to high school. You're missing the chunk of information that you need to go to the next level.
Mhm.
And taking 2 years off will definitely put them behind, even if they try super hard, because it's in skating, it's hard to catch up.
Mhm.
If you want to learn a quadruple jump, and if you don't work on triple jump, do you think you can do a quadruple jump? No, you know it yourself. You got to take steps towards the future element. And I think, of course, they can do better and they will do better if they don't take a break. That's just how I feel.
Mhm. Yeah. I want to, one other question about time off is, you know, with Russia being allowed back in international competition, we don't know what all of the eventual, you know, rules will be. But how about Tuktamisheva? She's so beloved by the entire skating world. People have mentioned that they miss watching her specifically over the last couple of years. Could she return to something like the Grand Prix if she wanted to? You know, she's been doing shows and skating kind of, you know, consistently over the last years.
If you want my honest
Yeah.
opinion, she could, but she shouldn't. She
Okay.
should enjoy life,
Okay.
because there's so much outside of skating and she's done so much and people do love her, but they will never forget her. They will
Mhm.
come to see every show that she participates in. They will continue loving her even if she doesn't come back as an amateur skater. I really think, in my opinion, from what I experienced after I walked away from amateur career, just go with it. Have a
Mhm.
life, have a life, enjoy, travel, allow yourself to stay up at night sometimes. Allow yourself to have extra candy. Allow yourself to have extra drink sometimes. It's just me. Maybe other people think, like, oh, she needs to come back and she needs to do this and that. That's not me. I was, after struggle with Tamara, because I wanted to come back and I wanted to do more. After struggle with her, I realized that she made the right decision for Dennis and I. She helped us to move on and start the nice and professional competitions, and then life in general was the only right decision for us forever. I cannot thank her enough. And if you ask my honest opinion, I think, like I said, she could, but why? Why?
Yeah.
What's there to prove? Have a life. Have a life.
Yeah. Well, let's start with the top two teams here. They've competed against each other for so many years. Do you think Wojciech Kozłowski would benefit if they begged Tamara to take them back at this point?
Well, first of all, my opinion, it will never happen. It will never happen because the breakup was not ugly, but I think there were so many things felt and said during the course of their work together. I don't think it will be possible to begin with. And I don't think so because I think Eteri and her team are amazing. And honestly, it's not the team, it's actually the athletes who cannot handle the pressure. Because you can work with whomever you want, Raphael, whomever, you name it. But if you don't have the guts to get out there and just do your job, it doesn't matter what coaching team you work with. It doesn't matter. And I think, first of all, Tamara will not take them back because it's when they left, as sad as it was, I think both teams felt better. And Mishina Galliamov felt better, and Wojciech Kozłowski felt better. They were separate places. They were training with different environments, different team of coaches. I think it was just the best for them at the time. And I think it's still unrealistic to expect them to come back to Tamara. And between you and I think Tamara will probably slow down after 2026, which she said in 1992. Oh, yeah, no, I'm done. Yeah, well, it's going to be 2026 and she's still out there. I think from what I gather, she will be more consulting and, because honestly, she wants to enjoy life too. However, her life is skating. That's obviously, we know that. But I think, to answer your question, I think it's unrealistic. First of all, they will not ask because here, this is how I would feel if I were in their shoes. Okay, we left Tamara and she was, let's face it, the best pair skating coach in the world, obviously. And we left her. We wanted to prove that we're better. We still can do better. We just need a different team of coaches. We need to feel like we're number one. I get it. I understand. And after these 2 years, if you look at the facts, they're still behind Mishina and Galliamov in most competitions. I think they lost maybe once or twice. I don't remember. I don't keep track. But they probably feel like, maybe we should not have done that. But again, I don't know how they feel. I know at the beginning they were all up to it and they were happy that they switched. And from the comments that I heard that, yes, this is the team. It's amazing. We work super hard, but it's a different type of work. In Tamara's philosophy, why do you have to scream and yell and push them? They're grown people. They're the athletes. They know why they're here. And Tamara would not scream and yell. She would not tell you, do it again. Do it. It's always like, okay, this is what we need to do, and we have to do it. And if you don't do it, this is what's going to happen. It's always really quiet and professional. I don't know much about Eteri, and I know about their philosophy, but I know that she pushes her skaters much harder. And that's what Wojciech and Kozłowski said, that in training, it's different. It's like, do it, 2 run-throughs, 3 run-throughs. I'm just exaggerating, but in Tamara's, her methods are different. So,
I've been a little confused with the pair team, Team Tudoridze, because when they started, Pavel Slusharenko was there more. I know that he has his own rink in Perm, I believe, right now. But, we would see Osokina, on the same ice with Team, but now it looks like they're more separate, although they travel back and forth. Do you think that difference in the group benefits? I mean, there were 4 pairs when you trained at one time, or what was it, the dynamic?
Mostly on the ice, there were 4 to 5, but with Tamara, only 2. Mishkutionik and Dmitriev and Dennis and I, that was it.
Yeah, but didn't you go to Moskva have some teams that were also stressing you out? Yes.
That was initially, but then they kind of separated because it was not possible to have this many pair teams on the ice. 5 is the tops you can have.
Mm.
And I think mostly we worked with Velikovas, the Lyudmila and her husband. So we were with them on the ice mostly.
Okay.
And we never had any problems. I mean, they were wonderful people. And I mean, there was some friction between the coaches, but athletes, no, we're still good friends. But between the team, Tudberidze group, the team is so big. You see, for pairs, it's like 4 or 5 people there. I don't think you need this many. I mean,
Yeah.
we always work with Tamara, and we had choreographers, many other people, but the actual team was very small. You know, you don't need this many people. I had Alexei Mishin on my side because I needed to work on my jumps, but mostly it was Tamara and a choreographer, and that was it. You know, we grew up in that environment and we never knew any better. But these days, when you look at the competition, sometimes the team is like 4 to 5 to 6 people. Why?
Yeah.
Why do you need this many opinions? I just don't get it.
Who is really supposedly the main coach for Boykova Kozlovsky? Because that's a little bit confusing. With
I think Alexei Tikhonov
okay,
and Ateri, because Ateri is all technical and jumps, probably an overall motivation and do this and do that, a planner. But I think Tikhonov was the number one. But then you see other people that I really don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what to say because I don't know. Slusarenko probably moved his business a little bit more towards where he's from. I think he has a family and a wife and a child and probably needs to be there more often than he's in Moscow. He's just life, you know. So.
You know, it's interesting. I haven't been as dialed into, you know, the rivalry between Boykova Kozlovsky, Mishina Galliamov, although I, you know, keep track. But I was wondering what you see as the difference. So I haven't watched them in so long, but I was watching and I was Dmitry Kozlovsky's basic skating skills and just his air position and his posture to me is much weaker. Of the 4 skaters, he sometimes seems like the weakest in terms of technical ability in the foundation. And I was wondering, you know, what you made of, you know, the matchup in terms of the building blocks to work with.
Well, if you match the boys, they're
Yeah.
both amazing. Amazing with the height and what they do on the ice, how well they handle the girls. I mean, they're both amazing. But I think Galliamov is more artistic. He's more his impressions, like the way he connects with the public, with the crowd, and the way he handles his partner is just a little bit better. In my opinion, he's the best pair skater ever. I mean, there are plenty of great ones, like Dmitriev was great, and other guys too. But this guy is with his height, it's unbelievable. His skating skills, his technique, his jumps, everything is just perfect. That's what I feel like. You know, Dennis was perfect too. So let's not forget Dennis. He was perfect in every way. But Dmitry is just, I think sometimes his attitude is a little bit, you know, like we're better than them. And with that attitude is really hard to be on top for a long time because eventually, I call it karma, is going to get you. So you can't feel this way, even if you're the best. You keep it to yourself, you know, because you're only the best today, but you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. And when you enter competition, like, yeah, we're going to get them, we're going to win, and then it doesn't happen. Oops, it's just that's not the right approach. But as for skating skills, they're both equally good. It's just like I said, Galliamov is much more out there. He's not afraid to try different characters. If you see, Tamara has been experimenting with very, very character programs like Michael Jackson and, you know, Elvis Presley, and people criticized her for it, but I think it buys because it's fun. It's absolute fun. When I saw Michael Jackson routine, I was like, wow, this is awesome because it's just enough of Michael Jackson and it's just enough for the skaters to be able to actually skate that, because this is not an easy character to actually perform, because we all know Michael Jackson was full of charisma. But for Dmitry and Sasha, I mean, it's just short program is great because, again, it's wonderful. It shows both of their wonderful skills. But like I said, in the long, it's a little bit more of the same, you know, and that's just what separates the boys as well, because Dmitry doesn't have to be as expressive in the long, though in a short, he's doing a great job. So, I mean, in my opinion, they're both great. But if I had to choose, I would choose Galliamov for sure, as his skating skills, technical ability, and ability to be this outgoing and artistic, and just the charisma is there.
I do think Boykova Kozlovsky really struggled, for years with the charisma and the artistic side of their skating if you match them up. But then they went to Tudoriza. They have a more traditional approach. It has improved them in some ways, but I don't find them as interesting to watch. Yeah.
They have improved. Absolutely. They have improved technically. And you know what's funny? Initially, they were technically more consistent. And then something happened, and all of a sudden, there's no consistency. It's like all of a sudden she falls on elements that should be done in her sleep, the throws, because she used to be perfect with every throw. But as for like people watch, judges watch, we're all people, we're all humans. We love to see what's entertaining, what's more fun. And I agree that I would rather watch Mishina and Galliamov, when I'm biased, of course, but it's more fun to watch because yes, they land their jumps, they do their throws and all. It adds to the excitement. But with Boykova and Kozlovsky, they did improve technical equipment, so to speak.
Yeah.
But as for artistic impression, short program is wonderful. But in the long, I think they just went more traditional way, and it shows like it's the same. It's the same. There's nothing different. And we people can argue with me. It's like, well, Mishina Galliamov for all this and all that, but it's fun. It's fun. And how many other pair teams with that guy who was like 6'2" or 3" would dare to wear a red outfit and actually impersonate Elvis Presley, and now he's doing Michael Jackson? How many guys do you see there actually being brave enough to do it? Because I heard a lot of words said about his red outfit, but it was cool. It was, yeah, it was kind of silly and goofy, but it was so perfect for the program and perfect for them, because what are you going to wear if you are Elvis Presley? You got to wear something like that. And that's why I think Mishina Galliamov are just on that spectrum, like they on that side, more artistic, which is more fun to watch.
Well, I noticed with Mishina Galliamov that, and one thing I wanted to say is Boykova Kozlovsky, if you watch their side-by-side jumps, they both jump higher than they did in the past. Especially I noticed in their double axels. They really high double axels, but yeah, the consistency. Although they both made a lot of mistakes in the free. And I was wondering what you made about the fact that Dmitry criticized his partner in the press, because I know that, pairs will have quarrels between each other. For him to say that publicly, it seems like they both have this aggressive competitiveness, but to allow it to be so public, I was wondering your talk about how much does that hurt the chemistry, going between the short program and the long program to really get it back together, because they had so many small errors in that free skate.
Yes, well, I mean, normally we don't do this. Well, I mean, from my times when I was skating, we don't go public with what's going on inside. It's just, you just don't, because nobody really needs to know your struggle. But for him to do that, he was probably very frustrated, because obviously mistakes were silly in a short program, and that put them 9 points behind. Obviously, you're not going to win, because it's not single skating. You cannot do more than you already do, and you cannot do 6 quads. It's just, what you're capable of, and you score. There's no way they could have scored 10 points higher than Mishina and Galliamov. So I guess all that brought the understanding that there's nothing we can do. We're second at best, because, with their long program, they made so many mistakes. They could have been third, which would have been a complete disaster for them. And if you saw the reaction when they realized they were second, I think they were very happy that they got second place. And I think that maybe a little bit of that brought her level of confidence down, because if your partner says something about you publicly, you feel like, oops, I really messed up. And, she knew she did. I mean, what's there to say? You cannot just beat them up with a stick when they get off the ice. And I learned that lesson when I started coaching myself. I used to go right after they get off the ice. What was that? I was like, and I got one student of mine, she was junior at the time, junior level, and she told me, what do you think? I did this on purpose. And I stopped. It's like, okay, it's okay. Let's get off. Let's just sit down. We'll talk about this later, because the skaters beat themselves up more than the coach will ever, because we know where we messed up. You get out there, you're ready, you want to skate your best, and poof, within a split second, what happened? So I think his words were probably a little harsh, and the chemistry, you're right, and the confidence. I think level of confidence when they got there for a long program, the first mistake that was made, there's more to come. And it's sad. It's sad for them.
Now with Mishina and Galliamov, Tamara has gone back and forth between Queen and then Snowstorm and the music that was the news, right? And then they had the Elvis program and then more traditional, and they're back to kind of the fun program. Do you think they will go more traditional again next year, or do you think that she will keep something more fun for the?
That I haven't thought about it yet, but I tell you what, if they skated the program they skated 2 nights ago at the Olympics, the outcome could have been completely different. Because I think this year's program, just my opinion, is the best they've ever done. It's fun, it's perky, it's clean, it's great. They enjoy it. You can tell that they both love it. The program that they skated at the Olympics was more traditional, no doubt about it, but people probably couldn't understand why she combined those two pieces of music, because how many people in the world know what she was trying to say? Because for us, for Russians, I skated to Snowstorm. Dennis and I did, Valova Vasilyev did. I mean, who didn't? Let's put it this way. But how many people in the world know Sviridov, the guy who created that piece of music? How many people in the world know that second piece, that the time that I grew up with, because it was part of the very important program that came out at 9 o'clock at night every day, as I remember myself. Great piece of music. Rodnina and Zaitsev skated to it. So, but it was more traditional, which was not bad, I mean, by any means. But let me ask you this question now. Probably, to be safe, they will go more traditional, but I don't know what else they can find, because this year's program is just, in my opinion, is wonderful. And it's going to be hard to come up with something unique to be able to go to the Olympics and actually get a gold medal, because I think that's the ultimate goal for them at this point, and they're pretty close.
Well, we know Tamara's a strategist, and there's that famous profile that they did on her when you were training with Miss Kuchanaka Dmitriev, and you were trying new elements to add to the program for the next season, right? So she has developed new transitions for Misha. Anastasia is, flipping over his back in the exit right now, which it's taken a while to get that clean. And remember, the end of their program at the Olympics, where they ended in the lift, never quite came together perfectly. So do you think she's testing things for their program next season?
Here's the thing. Here's what I think overall with pair skating these days. Everybody's trying super hard to come up with something new. And some of it just doesn't work, because it's a chase after points. And like, I watch lifts, and some of the lifts, they're super difficult. I don't know how they do it, but some of them are just not beautiful, because the girl in this position, it doesn't work for me. I want it to be beautiful in every possible way. If the girl is like this, I want to see legs certain way. I don't want to see certain things exposed. That's just the way I feel about it. And the chair last lift, I agree with you. It was never really an exclamation mark, because it just didn't work. It was always so it didn't make much of sense to me, but who am I to judge? I mean, they're the best in the world. So I think part of the thing, multiple transitions that they have are amazing, and they're right on the money. They're tasteful, they're great, they're beautiful. Like that thing when he flips and she sits on his back and he's in a spiral position. It's amazing. But the lift that follows that, when she's like this on his back and he's a spread eagle, kind of makes me feel like, I personally don't like that kind of thing. The girl in the spread eagle when she's all the way there. It's me. Back in the day when I saw Natalia and Arthur trying that, because it was one of their trademark moves, I know she probably didn't like it either, because it's just the actual position that makes you feel a little awkward. But I think for Tamara, she will probably come up with more. But the best thing is to collect the best little things from every program that they've had and just put them there. The reliable transitions, the most beautiful transitions, because judges react to beauty. That's how I feel. And no one wants to sit there and think, whoa, what was that? Even though you get your level 4, whatever level you get, and great execution for this and that. But part of it is like trying too hard to get there, and I've said it multiple times before to my friends, to my pair skaters friends, that it looks like these days there's so many things invented that some of them are just they're not pretty. Just try to get the difficulty with beauty and elegance. That's how I feel about it. So I really hope that they will collect all the best parts and put them in the program. Like, for example, Berezhnaya and Sikorolidze. they never had anything awkward. They were always
Only their
perfect and
twist.
elegant.
Only the twist.
Yeah,
Yes.
but honestly, they were always elegant. So yes, but see, the thing is, the judging system was different, and they didn't have to be like this or like that. They did something absolutely simple, and that was perfect. These days, I understand points, 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 but the chase after points creates issues from artistic perspective. I want to be relaxed when I watch. I want to be like feeling like, wow, this is beautiful, because this is the first word that comes out of my mouth. Oh, that was beautiful. But when I watch and I think, ew, that was difficult. But
Yes.
then it's not beautiful, then for me, so like I said, I hope they collect all the best parts.
I was wondering what your take on that is, because obviously you have the same coaches, but when you skated, you're known for your lines. I remember you, laying on Dennis's back and your foot was turned out in a split and everything. Is it that they're spending less time refining those elements? Is it less time in the ballet? Or is it just that you get an element and you move on to the next to add an extra rotation because you have to chase the points?
Well, see, in our lifetime, when we competed, we did ballet faithfully. You're right. We did. And all of us grew up with a system of ballet, if not every day, but every other day. Then, as we became better, we made a team. Of course, we always had a ballet teacher with us who also was a choreographer in a way. He couldn't skate or she couldn't skate, but they would add beauty and perfection to every move that you have. I think these days, not a lot of skaters actually grow up with ballet as mandatory. And I work with kids, they never do ballet. And to me, to explain to them the details, the pointed toes, the fingers, the chin, the head, the eyes, you speaking, it falls on deaf ears because they cannot relate. And maybe these days when parents are trying to chase up the difficulty, they just don't have enough time to polish things, to like, okay, like take a look how this toe looks. It's like it's sticking up instead of pointing and turning out. Even hands, the hands can speak. I always tell my skaters, your hands, they can talk. Like ballet, when you watch ballet, do they talk? No, they don't. But you understand every single thought they're trying to get across, right? Because is the body language. It's little movements, it's little pointed toes, it's a little smile, it's a little gesture. So, but I agree with you. Maybe these days with chase of the points, they just don't have enough time, or maybe they just don't have basic foundation for it, because it's pretty obvious in a lot of cases. Not all of them, but some cases, I agree with you. Just not enough time, or just not enough foundation,
Do
because
you, yeah. How much time did you spend on stroking and tracking every day? Because I was thinking about that because I was watching Elizabeth Osokina, right? Between the ballet and the stroking, right? And the relationship between the two, because she's perfect from the belly button up. She has the best chin and head and position, but then her feet and legs are so sloppy. And you even see it in the lifts where her upper body, she hits a nice arch with her back, and then her legs are so sloppy, and she has the Adeliia boots that are so boxy. And the picture is like half gorgeous, half drivnia. And I was wondering like what you thought of that. Yeah.
Well, honestly, from my perspective, I coach. Certainly, there's some kids who just don't have that. You cannot make them be looking like a ballerina if it's just, there's no way, it
This
just
girl has
happens.
it. She's not Sasha Trusova. Like this girl has that inside her. Yeah.
Well, it's sometimes it's just really almost impossible to make someone look like. Remember Seleznova and Makarov, for example. They were different style skaters. Their thing was power and aggressive and triples, and they were amazing technically, but they never had the looks of elegant Valova and Vasilyev, for example, in their time. Same my time, Mishkutyonok and Dmitriev, Gordeev and Grinkov. We all had different styles, and just Natalia Mishkutyonok and Dmitriev could not look like Gordeev and Grinkov, because those two were perfect in every aspect. They were just brought up doing ballet and time in front of the mirror. You spend hours. When I was growing up, we did so much off-ice training, your program, every segment, every part. My coach, my choreographer said, we have to lick it. It's like, you have to really make every gesture like a kitty cat. It has to look perfect. These days, maybe people just don't pay enough attention to details, or they just don't have enough time. Because when you work on quadruple or jump or quadruple throw and multiple crazy difficult elements, it goes away, the perfection of every move. And I think it will get better eventually, maybe with new generation, when things change, maybe rules will come down a little bit. But to answer your question, sometimes it's just you can't make a certain skater look certain way. It's just impossible. Maybe with a lot of practice and additional ballet training and watching the video. Did you see this? I remember my Tamara, for example. We did one lift and my knee was always bent. And she's like, straighten your leg, get that knee locked. I'm like, I'm doing it. She goes, no, you're not. So one day she finally said, okay, let's take a slow motion look. So we're looking and I see it. I was like, okay, you're right. Because to me, it felt like it was perfect. But when you look, it didn't, and I will never forget Dick Button himself telling me, you need to point those toes. That was his thing. He told me that. And I was like, whatever. But then when I watched myself skate in detail, yes, I saw it. And we worked on that. And when we came back and we finally won 1996 World Professional Championships, he said to me, I told you so. I was like, yep, you're right. I worked on it because I knew it was not right. It was not perfect. It's just not that I didn't know. I never paid enough attention to it. When you wear bulky skate, it shows even more. So these days when I work on stroking, I tell all my students, stroking is the foundation. You have to work on it. When I was growing up, I skipped every stroking class I could. And that's my example. If I did every class, if I attended every class that was given to me for free, I would have been more comfortable when I did my programs, because where it comes from, the foundation, the hours of crossovers, the stroking, the turns, you name it, transitions, it's all come with stroking classes. And I skipped and I regret. And that's why these days, my point is skating skills is number one you have to start with, because if you cannot skate, you cannot jump, you cannot spin, you will never go anywhere without skating skills. So.
I wanted to ask you quickly, how competitive were you as a pro? Because I asked a couple people for some fun Elena stories, because I always remember you showing us your abs during COVID and they were very impressive. Paul Wiley didn't say anything. He was very polite and diplomatic as always. But Renee Roca let me know that Elena watched Jenny and Todd every night on tour to see if Jenny was going to land the throws. So did it ever go away, that competitiveness?
Throw double axel, they did every night, and then we did throw triple salchow, and heaven forbid I fell. Ooh, that was everybody in local room like, don't talk to her. Because for me, it was the worst thing ever. Because basically we had throw triple salchow and side-by-side double flips. Well, I mean, what's there to mess up? You don't mess up anything else. And if I fell on the throw, put my foot down, first of all, Dennis, with his face, would let me know right after. So, and everybody knew Elena's going to be very upset. Don't do anything. So she don't say anything. But yes, it's not that I wanted to compete with them, but I wanted to be perfect every night. My point was I have to be perfect every night. That was, and for competition, we did tons of competitions. If you remember back in the day, we did every single competition offered. And I didn't want to win, but I didn't want to lose. That was my thing. I did not want to lose. I didn't go to those competitions with the thing, I want to win. But I did go there knowing I don't want to lose. So it's pretty much the same. It's a competitive side of me. Yes, it doesn't go away.
Is it worse to train with Miskatchonak and Dmitriev every day or to tour with Gordieva and Grinkov?
Well, of course, training with Mishkutyonok and Dmitriev. I loved skating with Katya and Sergey. I loved it because they were just so beautiful and so always perfect. It was amazing. No, I would never even compare the two. Mishkutyonok and Dmitriev added the training side by side with them, some gray hair for the rest of my life, not because of them, because of me, because the way I accepted the fact that they were training together. It's just, they were perfectly fine with us, but I was so competitive, it was just crazy. I mean, I wish I could take it back as well, because that was messing up with my training, with my head, with my success at competitions, because I wanted to win. That was my point.
Yeah. Two things I had to. Mishina and Galliamov, many people think that they will likely be the pair that's nominated for this neutral spot. They have to decide in February. So there's not a lot of time for Boykova and Kozlovsky to change minds between now and February, right? And the team that is chosen for this competition in September will then be the same athlete that competes at the Olympics. So the only thing that's really negating is the fact that people think online, I've seen this picture posted of Galliamov with the Russian president, but that's a typical victory ceremony after the Olympics. So I don't think that that means anything, you know? So
I already read some. I already read some. But
yes.
honestly, in my opinion, nationals,
Mhm.
that's what should be the indicator who's going where. And
Mhm.
Mishina and Galliamov won without any doubts. And they've been consistent. I think consistency is the key, because if we're sending one pair team to the Olympics, we pour so much financial support and so much of every kind of support into this pair team, though they will be like, they're not going to represent Russia, but still we all know who they are. I think there should not be any questions. And yes, it was a typical standard ceremony. You come back to your country and you have to meet your president. I think the same thing happens here in the United States. After the Olympics, they all go to White House. What's wrong with that? Believe you me, no one, I mean, I don't want to go into politics, but I can tell you for sure, no one wants this war to continue or to even start it years ago. No one. Athletes have nothing to do with what's going on. And to me, it's just a horrible development of events that led Russia and Belarus and Ukraine in this horrible conflict outside of the politics, because it's just sad that athletes get attacked because of what is going on outside of their life. Because all we do, athletes, as you know it, you want to train, you eat, you sleep, you drink, you do, all you do is to be your best at what you do. And when your life turns upside down because something else is happening, it's difficult to accept. And I think coaches doing a great job with actually watching those skaters to keep going, because you think people would say, I'm done, I'm moving to professional world, I don't care anymore. But if you look, we still have the whole bunch of phenomenal skaters in Russia, and they keep going, they're motivated, they're doing, because there's a hope that one day we all will have peace everywhere in the world, and the sport will have nothing to do with the rest. This is just my opinion, and like I said, I have nothing to do with politics. I stay out of every kind of discussion, because even where I'm from, where I live now, we have Ukrainians, we have Belarusians, we have Russians. I mean, we're all international. We have Chinese. We're international world these days. And to me, sometimes when I hear comments about Russians, so to speak, because we have people at the rink, and I always keep my mouth shut, always. But to myself, I think, well, it's not athletes' fault, And when people make comments, even online, like attacking other skaters and going, oh, this guys went to this event and Putin was there or this was there. Well, they were invited. What they're supposed to do has nothing to do with what they do in training. And it's just polite to accept the invitation. Why? I mean, what are you going to do? If you protest something, they will say, okay, bye. You're no longer needed. That's just the way it is.
But so I'm wondering, do you think that typically skaters, would, let's say that they had decided the one pair at the nationals next year, right? You would automatically know Boykova Kozlovsky, Mishina Galliamov, they will, continue this rivalry. I was wondering if they choose this team in February and everyone's going to know, which team is chosen. Boykova Kozlovsky, if they are not picked, I mean, they could be the reserve athlete, right? We don't know.
Yeah.
But do you think that this would be a devastation for them, for a whole year, to know that they're not going to be the chosen ones, and knowing how competitive they are? Do you see them, skating another full year at the same power, that they are now?
I certainly hope so. I hope they will, because there's so much they have to offer. They're amazing to watch. I love them. I love their desire to win. I love the way they go for it. And yes, it will be absolutely devastating to know that you're not chosen, and you basically know nothing will change unless something happens to the other team. Let's say they get a flu the day before they go. It happens. But at the same time, most likely nothing will happen. If Mishina Galliamov are chosen, it's going to stay that way. If I'm trying to put myself in Boykova Kozlovsky's shoes, I don't know, because it's a tough spot. It's when Dennis and I ended up in a similar spot at some point, I'm done. I want to go, and I just want to turn pro. And Tamara said, in our situation was different. She said, wait, don't quit. You don't have titles to go anywhere. No one's going to take you. Who are you? You're nobody. you will never do anything big. You're always going to stay probably in a small show and just make, small little money. And she convinced us, and we stayed, and then circumstances changed and we ended up going everywhere. So in their case, maybe if they stay to after the Olympics, then, I don't know, Mishina Galliamov probably will say, okay, we're done. If they win, so what's there to prove? And then maybe then next 4 years. But honestly, the age, do you really want to kill yourself for 4 more years trying to go to the next Olympics? Because a lot can happen. And again, there's life outside of skating. I don't think, in my opinion, of course, if I was in their shoes after the Olympics, it will be very hard to continue and get the motivation to work every day, 6, 7, 8 hours a day, 5, 6 days a week. It's hard. So, I mean, yes, it will be very difficult for them. And like I said, I hope they find the strength to go for another year, because there is a chance if something happens, they will go, and they need to be completely prepared. Just imagine for a second, they say, we're done, and they walk away. And circumstances change 2 months into going to the Olympics, someone gets injured. Well, what are you going to do? You're not trained. You cannot go. They'll have to send someone else, the second substitute, and then what? So it's just a very tough situation for them. I feel for them. When I saw them messing up long program, I was like, oh, this is not good. This is going to break them in half after all the effort they put into it. Can you imagine all the effort, all the belief that they had that they're going to do it? They switched coaches. They moved to Moscow. This is going to be their year. This is going to be their Olympics. And after all that, it's just the nerves, the desire to win versus, okay, the desire, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to do my job. It's just that it killed them. And like I said, it's super sad. But when I watched Mishina Galliamov, I cried. I cried in so much happiness for them. And I couldn't even finish watching. I was crying, and of course I'm on Tamara's side. I mean, she's my hero, and a lot of people feel the same way. She's great. She's wonderful. Though I have to tell you, I read some nasty comments the other day on Facebook, and I ignore to get involved. I never get involved. I could not help myself, so I did. Someone said something, and it's like people talk about Moskvina and Baikova, Kozlovsky, Mishina Galliamov. They don't know anything. They're not there. They don't know the specifics, and they make comments that I was like, you're not gonna say this about my coach, because when I was skating back in my day, Moskvina was very fair. If it's 2-hour session, 30 minutes, 30 minutes. Mishkutyonok, 30 Betchke, Petrov, it was always like this. You cannot handle it, it's your problem, but she was always extremely fair. There was never a slight chance of favoritism. Though when I misbehaved, when I was screaming and yelling and crying and pitching fits and this and that, yes, maybe part of her was like, okay, this is too hard to work with. Mishkutyonok and Bit was just easier to work with. And yeah, I sensed it sometimes, but was it her fault? Oh, it was my fault. It's a lot easier to work with people who are kind and calm and, emotionally balanced and intelligent. Of course, it's just, you cannot really deny that. But
That's why Shcherbakova won the Olympics. We saw her against Sasha.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
Yes.
I mean, emotional intelligence comes to play very quickly in figure skating. It's just that you have to be able to handle yourself no matter what the circumstances are. Pitching a fit is not a pretty thing. And we witnessed it just a couple of years ago, which was, I still think, whoa, that was not pretty. And poor Anna Sherbakova, who deserved all the glory at the moment, was all by herself, looking around thinking, what do I do now? So anyways, I
What do
hope
you
I
make
answered
of
all
the
the
other
questions.
pair? Oh, yes. I was wondering what you think about the international pairs, because, they've been existing in two different silos,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I do wonder about, Diana Stellato and what she's, feeling right now, because obviously her calculations and everything changes, going into next season.
Well, okay. My perspective, my outcome, my outlook. German. I love Germans. I love Germans. I mean, they're phenomenal. They will improve. They will improve. The Japanese pair team, amazing. But to me, it feels like they're a little bit kind of getting tired of all this.
Yes.
And for Canadian pair team, I mean, she's amazing at her age to do what she does. Oh, I cannot even imagine myself. But what people tell me, oh, she's amazing. I said, well, she took 16 years off. So, her body is not as broken.
Mhm.
with compared to someone who would be going and going at it every year, every year, every year. By age of 35, you cannot do it because you can't. But I think now they will all realize, oops, if Mishina Galliamov going to compete at the Olympics, it's if you look at the scores, it
Mhm.
tells you the story. And I think they still will try because I mean nothing is wrong with second place, nothing is wrong with third place, nothing is wrong with just going there. I mean, making to the Olympics is pretty huge achievement for a lot of people, and medaling is amazing. So I mean, it should not change the approach. They should continue working hard and really try to get what they get. Because you never know. Sport is sport. Figure skating is ice is slippery as we know it. When you're there all by yourself in front of the judges and millions of people, you never know. You can slip, fall, and it's over in a split second. So, I mean, no one should feel the way that, oh, it's over. No, because things happen. Mishina Galliamov are not perfect. No one is. And we'll see what happens. But like I said, it should not discourage people from training for another year. It should not.
Do you think that Deanna's emotional response is kind of the X factor going in of what happens? Because she has a reputation of being a little bit like Elena Betchke. And, we see that in her programs last year. They used it to their advantage with the vampire program.
Yeah.
Do you think how she responds and what zone she gets in for the next year will kind of have a big impact on the medals?
I think a lot of people would say, "Oh crap," to
Yeah.
begin with. "Oh crap, those Russians." But I think, like I said, if she's 40 something, she's emotionally very intelligent. You can tell she's very reserved and very nice and sweet. I think her reaction should be, "Okay, these are the facts. There's nothing we can do. All we can do, sit down, make a plan, stay healthy, don't break anything, don't get hurt, don't get a flu right before you have to go to competition, and just do your job and let the rest fall into place and let judges decide who's best out there." Because like I said, emotional intelligence approach, positive approach to what's going on now, this is the only way people can take. I mean, that they should. Because what are you going to do? You're going to quit in the middle of it? She just got Canadian citizenship. She should be going and thinking, okay, we'll do the best we can and see what happens.
Do you think the Germans have enough of the artistry and that side to really be competitive? Because to me, that's what they're really lacking is the speed and that connection and the connection
Mhm.
to music. Yeah.
But they still have another year. They
Yeah.
will probably work on that aspect, the actually great execution and the second mark, so to speak, because they have a lot of potential, and I like what they do. But like I said, another year may change a lot of things. They're relatively new. They haven't been together long enough, and he's the rock. You can tell he's strong and powerful, and coming from St. Petersburg, Russia, of course, he's a strong pair skater. There's nothing you can do, and he looks good for his height, for his picture, for his stature. So he's tall, he's strong, but he still looks good. So I think they can improve and they be compatible and competitive with the rest of the pair teams. I think they all have a chance.
What do you make of the women? Because it does look like Adeliia Petrosian, she's number 1 in Russia. It looks like she skipped the stroking classes with you. When you watch her basic skating, it looks like that was not her priority. And I was just wondering what you make of her because she is very consistent. She seems very determined. What do you think of her overall?
Well, I think I agree with you. Crossovers. I mean, big thing is crossovers. I teach crossovers every day. And I always tell my skaters, I'm not going to say this specific skater, that skater. I would say to my skaters, look, the jumps are amazing, but look at those crossovers. These days, you're not allowed to do crossovers like that. They need to be smooth. You have to push like you one stroke and you're halfway across the ice. Like Kaori Sakamoto, for example, that is amazing. But for some skaters, it doesn't come naturally. It's the thing. Some skaters like Kaori, maybe she takes a lot of skating skills classes, but she's just naturally, her knees and ankles are so amazing that you cannot fight that. With Adelia, it's just maybe they will focus on that more. Maybe you're right. Maybe they don't do enough stroking. Maybe they don't have enough that type of coaches who would actually focus on that only, because I know from my experience back in the day, I just didn't like it. I didn't want to work on it. I fought it every chance I had, and it caught up with me. And these days, when I work with my students, mostly these days I work on skating skills, and they consider it boring. But I tell them, without it, you're not going anywhere. You can do all the quads in the world, but when you compete with Yuma Kagiyama or Midori Ito back in the day, or Kaori Sakamoto, your skating skills clearly are not the same. So either way you look at it, you can lose just because of that. Even if all your elements are the same, the components, the skating skills component, one of the most important one, no matter what you look, the way you look at it. And I have to tell you that Adeliia, the long program this nationals was absolutely stunning. I've never seen better from her. The
Perfectly.
costume, the makeup, the presentation, the smile. I mean, it was the jumps and spins, everything was just perfect. Which proves the point, the hard work, and I know they all work super hard. So
Yeah. What did any of the other women really stand out to you? I thought it was very interesting. I thought one of the most interesting moments of the nationals was Daria Sadkova. She skated into the boards, going into her combination, got up, and then nailed the triple.
yeah,
And I thought,
yeah,
wow, like that skater is impressive to me because so many skaters would fall, and not be able to get back up and, nail
and
the,
finish it. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's the training, because I know many coaches do this. You fall, you get up, and you keep going, no matter what. You can hit your head on the wall, but you still have to get up and keep going. I think it's part of the training, because I watch some coaching around me. Let's start over. No, you don't. You don't get a second chance. If competition, you fall, you get up, and you keep going. You can fall on the first step in your program. What are you going to do? So tell judges, sorry, I'm going to start over? No, you keep going. You find a way to keep going and still find a way to be successful with what you can do best. Yeah, that was pretty amazing. But to be honest with you, I didn't go through all of them, but a lot of single skaters. I skipped through some. Well, I like Veronika Yemetova. I always like her power and strength. I think just this year she grew a little, and it's a little bit more of an adjustment period for her. But other than that, nah. I mean, I think Adeliia was like so far ahead of everyone that it's Muravyova was good, but again, it's just something not quite there this season. Maybe the growth, maybe injuries, maybe lack of training, who knows? But I think Adeliia is just the best out there right now.
Adeliia, to me, when they pick the right music, it looks
Mm-hmm.
like she loves what she's doing. They pick,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of Spanish, fiery
Yeah.
character works very well for her.
Yeah.
The short was rocky. She forgot her
Yeah.
footwork. She was
Yeah.
nervous. She almost tripped just on a
Yeah.
nothing move of choreography.
Yeah. It was okay. It was okay. It was not outstanding. The long program was just, it's her. And when you find that kind of music, what you really love, what your heart feels like, it adds to basically to your excitement. And then it's in every story, every skater. You find that piece of music that makes it absolutely perfect for you. And I think they got it for her this year. It's her like best, and hopefully next year will be even better, because when you have something this amazing, it's hard to do better. So we'll see.
You mentioned that you don't talk to your skaters and say negative things to them when they get off the ice. Tudbridze likes to make a show of it, and right when Akacheva came off, she did triple-double
Yeah.
instead of triple-triple, and
You stop fighting. You stop fighting. I mean, you let it out. Same what happened with Camila at the Olympics. Why did you stop fighting? What happened? You could have done better. I mean, I learned my lesson, because see, things are different in Russia and America. In America, you really cannot be that aggressive, because if you say something, it can start a lot of issues. Skaters get upset, they will fire you. It happens. In Russia, Terry can say whatever she wants to say, because it's different. And usually she gives them what she thinks basically right away. It's not rude, it's not ugly, it's just a fact. Okay, what happened there? Why did you quit fighting? You know how to do it. You can do better. You could have done better. Why did you do this to yourself? I mean, I think it's normal what she does. Absolutely. Back in my day, Tamara was never rude, but it was like, okay, it is what it is. This is what you did wrong. Why did you do that? I mean, what's wrong with that?
never says it on camera, so we never see
No,
her actually
it's
do.
always
Yes.
it's always between the lines, or oh, it's like
Does she say it backstage? Because Terry says it for the world to hear. We know exactly what she's, even in her reactions when they're skating, and then they show Tamara, and Tamara just stands like this the whole program. Yeah.
Yes. Well, she's 83. I think her experience with this is she's not gonna jump up and down and do this, or leave the program of a skater through their skating. You will never see Tamara doing anything like that. It's just, I think it's just the way she is. She's always been like that. I think a few times when we skated, I saw her maybe doing this if I didn't fall on something. So I was like, oh, she didn't fall, her reaction. But behind the scenes, when I was younger, yeah, I heard some unkind words and I fully deserved them. But as Dennis and I grew together and we started skating together and we got better, what's there to say? I was killed. I would kill myself. I would be upset. The second I get off the ice, I would be crying my eyes out, knowing, I did it again. I was ready and I did it again. So what's she going to do? She would always come up with a solution. We need to find a psychologist. We need to do this. We need to do 10,000 competitions. We need to do this training. So she was always coming up with solutions, not accusations, because what's accusation going to do? Like I said, mature athletes, they know what they messed up. They don't need someone to tell you suck, because it's what is it going to do? It's going to kill you. It's going to hurt you even more. Plus, when you're this upset, whatever other people say doesn't matter because you're already on your case so much. It didn't matter. And like I said, when I work with younger kids now, when they get off the ice, there's no need to. They skate off and they're already crying sometimes, and what you do is stop. This is not right. Stop crying. Smile. We get off. You get out of the locker room, you get to your room, you can cry, you get in the car, because what's the point of attacking them? They're already upset. And my older generation, when I work with older kids, like I said, I listened it took one time for a skater to talk back to me, like, what are you saying? I didn't do this on purpose. And I'm like, okay, that's true. She didn't try to pop that Salchow. She did not go and fall on her axle on purpose. It just happened. You can get off, you can give them positive, okay, it's okay, we'll talk about this later, and then you analyze why it happened. We didn't do enough run throughs, we didn't do enough conditioning classes, we didn't do enough jumps. You come up with solutions, how to improve, how to make it better from competition to competition, because if you don't have solutions, just criticism, what's it going to do? Yeah, nothing. And that's how Tamara is. It's always, let's see what we can do to make it better.
When the women, obviously there's always a lot of attention on the Russian women, the decision of who they make, it's more controversial because Petrosian is coached by Tudberidze. We don't know, can she train with Tudberidze and just not have Tudberidze at the competition, or, what kind of decision that those rules. How much of the fact that her age and the fact that she's going through the transitional period, that all female skaters go through, how risky is that decision that the federation?
Adeliia?
Yes.
0. She's going to stay this way forever. She's just lucky. Her body is very tiny and she's just that type of a girl. It happens. Look at Medvedeva. She never went through this. She was always tiny and always elegant, and some of us just get lucky this way. Or maybe it's discipline, maybe it's really strict discipline, because we all grow. There's nothing you can do. Nature takes its course. Oh, Katya Gordeeva, she always stayed petite and tiny. I think there should not be any questions who has to go to the Olympics. Adeliia is the one. Who else? I mean, with other girls, you see, like year after year, they come back and they change. And once they change, for a while, they lose what they had when they were not going through change. I mean, with Adeliia, there's no doubt in my mind. She's going to stay the way she is. It's just she's 17 and she's still tiny. I mean, usually it's 15, 16 when you start really, growing. So
if she had to switch rinks, because you can't be coached by, Tudberidze, Dudakova, Gleikenhaus, because they were associated with Valyeva, do you think she would be okay if, the rules, the rules are kind of ambiguous? Does it mean that they just can't go to competition or they can't train with them? But of course,
I didn't know that.
Gadze is Georgian and he obviously trains with them. So you think that, the rules, they're all sorts of contradictory. The lawyers could have spent way more time, going through this. So,
Well, I think, we will see what happens, because I was not aware of these rules. It never crossed my mind that there could be some problems because of what happened to Camilla, but we'll see. Yes, I'm sure lawyers will be in the picture, and maybe they will select someone else, or maybe they will give Adeliia a choice to train with someone else. But I hope it doesn't happen, because honestly, she belongs with Terry and her team. It will be probably devastating for her to switch coaches because of that issue. just, I mean, I cannot even think. But I think she's so good and so smart and so hardworking that it should not change the outcome, you know. But yeah, this is a big possibility that, but they still should send her, maybe
Yeah.
with a different coach, but they should not take this away from her because of the what happened to Camilla. That it has nothing to do with her, nothing.
Yeah. What do you make of the men? Because the men, they all perform so many quads, right? And it's interesting because throughout the championship and over the last couple of years, sometimes Peter Gumenik is the best,
Mhm.
sometimes
And
Marco
Nemka,
Dragul,
yeah.
you know, they're all up and down and up and down. And we know all of the, Simonenko, this Vladislav was the best at this competition. What do you make of, the decision that they have to make about who the best Russian man really is?
Oh, that's gonna be tough. Tough between, I would say at this point, between Semenenko and Dikidzhi,
Okay.
because Gumenik has been a little inconsistent recently. He's amazing, but he's just, it's hard to stay on top for this long. And that's what is happening. I think Dikidzhi is just new, he's fresh, he's super talented, and he's coming up, and he's just more prepared to be chosen because he's just young. I mean, you don't have all that baggage of emotional ups and downs. And yes, they will have a rough time, absolutely. But he has been very consistent in the last 2 years. He's won every competition he entered, except for last year's nationals, and he was this close. So realistically, they should send him. However, yes, there will be argument that they should send someone more experienced, like Simonenko, and he's pretty good. He's pretty consistent. It's just short program is like, what happened, you know? And then he climbs up, which is amazing. But yeah, there's going to be some controversy there, no doubt about it. But in my opinion, they should send the young one and let him do it because he's got another year to improve his skating skills, his presentation. Because right now it's a solid free skate, but definitely lacks charisma, character. But you cannot get it all at once. If you look at Nathan Chen, it took him a while. You look at Ilya Malinin, he's getting better every year. I think it's just, it will come. But I think it will be very unfair if they don't give this young kid a chance to go and, do what he can do in another year. So I think,
In the
yeah.
men's field, I think we will see another competition for these men before they make the decision, whether it's at
Before February, yeah. Yeah, it's a known strategy in Russia. It's a very known strategy. We have something like we're gonna make them skate their programs again. But
yeah,
in a way, it's fair. Back in the day, long time ago, when I was skating with my first partner, it played to our success because there was this additional competition and we won. Even Dennis and I, we went through this before 1989 World Championships. We had to go through this additional competition and we won and we were chosen to go to Paris in 1989, though we were not, we were fourth after nationals. So, it plays to someone's advantage, but for some it's a killer because okay, what do I have to prove? I won every competition, every senior event. Why am I supposed to go through this again to be judged? Why do they put me through additional stress? Didn't I just prove this 4 times? So it's really a tough decision. It's really, I'm glad I'm not in their shoes, people who have to decide, and skaters, because if you really look at the bigger picture, that international sport right now, Ilya Malinin is like, wow, out there. Then Kagiyama is like my personal favorite. This kid is just amazing. I admire his skating skills and everything that comes with it. He's amazing. But if you put Russian boys against that, who do you think would be near those two?
it's hard.
It's hard. It's hard.
Gumenik
Yes.
would be my pick, but Gumenik always falls a little bit short of delivering. I will say I was really impressed with his quad flip in the short
Yeah.
program because he's
Yeah.
more of an edge jumper. We saw more quad loops and quad sows for so
Yeah.
many years with him, and I thought that he really has more of what all of the ingredients that
Yeah.
you need in a top
Yeah.
skate. He always
Yeah.
falls a little bit short. It wouldn't be a
Mm.
bad strategy to send him because it's safe, but it's not going to get someone a medal most likely. Mark Kondratyuk,
Mm.
he has moments of brilliance. The short program,
Yeah.
he has the
Yeah.
most present,
Amazing.
right, of everyone.
Mm.
I mean, the loud costume and
Yeah.
everything. And he has actually improved his skating skills a
Yeah,
lot.
absolutely. Yeah.
He has the experience, but then again, you see first place and then eighth place, right? When you look, the short program, free program, to me, I don't think he's a reliable choice.
It's inconsistency that gonna kill a lot of skaters if you speak about this. This is just thinking. Think about this, what they should do. This is just cool thought. They have to have, let's say, 3 days in a row. And 3 days in a row, those chosen three, they're probably gonna choose between 3 skaters. Skate long program 3 days in a row and see which one does the most consistent work. So that, but that will never happen because it's exhausting. It's just crazy. It's a super torturous event if they have invented that. But that would give you an idea, okay, who will sustain that crazy pressure when you go to the Olympics?
Sounds like the Cooley Ranch. It sounds like how they pick the gymnastics team in the US.
Yes, but that's hard. But I think technically, ideally, they probably should send the younger Dikidzhi because still they can rely on his technical content. And in a year, he will improve all this. Maybe they come up with more exciting program, more character kind of program. And knowing that he can land all those jumps and, according to his website or whatever he's got there, he can land quad axel. So he can. So in a year should not be a problem. He said, "No, it didn't take me that long to land one." So, he could be compatible technically with other boys. So there's a chance he can be, I don't know, top 5, maybe. But if you send someone who is inconsistent or jumps are always under rotated, you're sending someone knowing, oh, this is never going to stand against great Ilya Malinin or great Kagiyama. You just know it. That's just my opinion.
I will say Yuma, had a mistake in the short program at nationals. Once again, I think Malinin really does have the edge there. What about ice dance? This is so interesting because Stepanova and Bukin are number 1. It's unclear if they're going to be the team chosen based on these rules. They are the one team that has the international experience, right? So the federation would obviously want to send them. And ice dance has been such a stalemate between Chalk and Bates, Gillis and Poirier, and the Italians. There's been no movement. I guess, what is your take about shaking up that discipline?
I don't follow dance much. I watch sometimes because it's just something I don't understand the rules, but I can tell, wow, great, or okay, I can tell that. And I can tell the twizzles side by side, they're done perfectly, lifts are amazing and difficult. But realistically, sometimes I don't understand why they score this and why they score that. I just don't get it. But I think as for Russian Federation, should not be any doubt in sending Stepanova and Bukin because who else is out there? I mean, yes, there were some issues at the beginning of Russian competition season. They were not great. They were not that smooth. But still, at nationals, they were their best, I think. And they're so well known and they're compatible. And I think there should not be any questions about who to send. This is just my opinion. I love them. Like I said, if I understood the rules better, maybe I would watch better because back in the day, my days, I watched dance couples all the time. For that matter, when Torvill and Dean did Stars on Ice, every night I was doing this. I was watching them because it's an amazing dance couple. There's always something you see new in their program, even if you watch it every day. But then I lost interest. It's just like, I don't understand. I understand Bestemyanova and Bukin. I did understand other couples, Klimov, Ponomarenko, Uzova, Julin. I mean, there were so many, Duchenis, for that matter, French couple. I mean, they were amazing to watch, Dorville Dean. But then I kind of I don't understand. And if I don't understand, I lose interest. But these days, yes, American dance couple is amazing. Italians are great. Papadakis, for that matter, I watched them. I would watch them 24/7. They were so amazing. But again, with them, I liked one program so much I could watch it every day. But then they came up with something else. I was not so, kind of lost interest there. But again, like I said, sending Stepanova and Bukin probably be the best decision for Russian Federation because if they send someone else, they're not known. They might be great, but they don't have enough time to get that respect from the judges and get to be known in that world of figure skating. And in dance, it's probably one of the most important things to be out there and get recognized and judges knowing you and expecting something from you. It's really super important in dance because how much can they mess up?
I think dance will hurt. It will be a tough for whichever team goes because they've been out of the competition. And while the competition doesn't have a superstar like a Torvalendin or Virtue Moyer,
Yeah.
they've all been so close and in this very tough mental competition with each other that they have been separate from, and the standard is different. I
Yeah.
think is the biggest.
It will be interesting to watch. Exactly. No matter who they send. I mean, I'm looking forward to the Olympics because it will be so difficult to see just one Russian participant at each event. It's really unusual. But it will be exciting because at least we will be back. We will be allowed to be back. And hopefully, whomever get chosen will be successful. Let's put it this way. Because, even we are neutral status, so to speak, still we know who those names are, where they come from. And I hope that all this political madness will end up soon because this is just not the way for the world to exist these days. I don't understand this aggression and all this worldwide, not just specific area, everywhere. I wish people could get along and all be happy everywhere.
What do you think of the American pair? Obviously, Natalia Miskutchanek very involved with Ellie Kam and Danny O'Shea.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you make of their improvement this season?
I love them. I absolutely love them. I just love everything about them. Last year's short program was so amazing. I couldn't believe my eyes. I mean, it was just absolutely the best I've ever seen from them, of course. And I would say one of the best programs out there for in a while. I think they're improving. Jumps, definitely. The girl, definitely her jumps improved. She lands now. Throws, they need work. And if she starts landing them consistently, they will be very compatible, very compatible. And what I admire about them the most is their partnership. She's much younger and she's absolutely like a doll, beautiful, tiny. And he's this big rock. And to me, it feels like he supports her so much that part of her trouble are gone because he takes over all of that. And he is always there for her to just give her what she needs, confidence and support and everything that comes with it. I think they're going to be very good contenders. Yeah.
I was wondering, you obviously watch people online. We've seen Team Tuberidze for the junior pairs. She's doing the quads again. And I was wondering if it reminded you of Zhuk's pairs of the 1.5 pairs, because she has a really tall guy with a really tiny girl that looks like she's from novice or think, and they're doing these big elements. Does it remind you of, the late 70s, early 80s?
Yes. Well, it's funny thing is, just a couple of weeks ago, I was watching this thing on YouTube about Cherkasov and Shahrai. Remember, that was the revolution in pair skating because she was this big and he was this big. And it was crazy because they could do amazing tricks because, well, if she's 60 pounds, you can do whatever you want. It's easy. Not that they were not great. They were awesome. But then what happened later on, she grew. There's nothing you can do about it. And they were done. It was just, there's no way they could have continued the same level of difficulty. Katya and Sergey were pretty much the same, but it was never that obvious because they were so perfectly paired together, even though Katya was tiny. They just were a perfect match because they were romantically perfect match. I think that helped them a lot. But yes, watching those, once I see it, I'm not interested because, what's there to prove? Of course she's tiny, she does this and that, but the guy's 3 times taller. I'm not interested in that kind of thing. I am more into more matched pair teams, more mature, even though junior pair teams don't have to be like that. Come on, we can do better matches. It's just, it doesn't look right. Like I said, it did look right with Katya and Sergey always. It never crossed anyone's mind that something was not right there. It's just the way they were. And when Cherkasov and Shahrai came to the picture, or Pestov-Alyanovich for that matter, because that generation of pair teams.
Right? Who's the third? There was a third because they did this.
Pershin, Akbarov, they were not the same. They were more matched. They were all similar looking, but I think even Pestov-Alyanovich looked more paired better. That's just the way it was. I think maybe just the way they skated. But Cherkasov and Shahrai were the biggest example of a revolution in pair skating, and it didn't end well. But for other pair teams, they were amazing. The Pershin, Akbarov and Pestov-Alyanovich, they just did not have the technical content to keep them competitive with other pair teams. That's why I think their career kind of phased out in amateur world, and they were very successful and professional. And I see some of them on regular basis because we go to same competitions now. So, it's cool to see them, but I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that kind of revolution. And yes, maybe they think
it doesn't go this You know, when
Well,
I see the team Tutberidze, I hope it does not go. It's a little uncomfortable to watch. Yeah.
well, and maybe the way of thinking is the girl is going to grow, which is most likely will happen, but how many years it will take? Or what if she doesn't grow that much? If something happens, it's just it's a difficult game they're playing because it just doesn't look right.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that type of revolution in pair skating,
And while I have you here, what do you make of the Italians? They're the other pair that's really in the mix. They do the Barbara Streisand Yentl program. To me, they're missing some sort of ingredient, maybe the passion or the artist.
I don't know. First of all, you're talking about yeah. Sometimes, okay, here's the thing. A pair skating is a very difficult discipline.
Mhm.
Pair has to be matched. The girl should be certain size, so to speak, and the guy has to be certain size. It's just and sometimes recently you see girls a little bit taller than they should be for the frame with the guy they're skating with. And it makes it a little bit difficult to watch because you know how much work the guy has to do to lift and throw and survive all those difficult lifts. I don't think they're bad, but it's just maybe they're just slightly mismatched. But again, what are you going to say? They're trying so hard, they look wonderful, and they do their best. Who are we to judge? I know they're putting everything they can into that success that they can probably have eventually. But I mean, in my opinion, when I watch all the pairs competitions I can watch, matching partners is super important. It's just the way it is. You cannot have a shorter guy with a taller, like really tall girl. If this much distance between the guy, it's not going to work because at the end of the program, the truth comes out. It's hard to manipulate a girl out there if she's almost your height. And like example, the French pair team, the married couple French pair team, I don't remember the names, but they're so mismatched when they get out there. My husband, who doesn't watch skating all the time, but he's like, but isn't she taller and bigger than him? It's like, well, first of all, you're politically incorrect. You cannot say that. The girl is what she is, but they cannot do much because the physical mismatch gets in the way. It's just like gymnastics. You cannot have a 6 feet tall female gymnast to do all those things. It's just the way it is. And pair skating is very demanding on proportions. You have to have that to be successful. Plus, dance is different. But pairs, a guy has to be taller than a girl. It's just the way we accept, or the way I see it. A girl is crystal vase. My coach always said that, and the guy is the rock. So this is how it should look. The girl is fragile and tiny, and yeah, of course she has to have some muscle because you're not going to be able to do all those crazy things they're doing without physical support. But the guy has to look taller and stronger to support and represent the vase that he's carrying around all the time. That's just the way I see it.
How about the pairs from Boston? You have Emily and Spencer, and then the new team, Elisa Efimova and Misha Mitrofanov.
Well, they're good. They're good. The Mitrofanov team, I love them. They're perfect match. She's tiny, he's tall and strong. It's just consistency. They need to be consistent and, deserve their spot in the team and show what they have because they're all amazing. It's just inconsistency. You think, oh, this is it. And then boom, fall here, fall there, just like I did. But anyways, for some reason I expect them to be better these days because they have all the ability to train more. They have beautiful facilities. They have workout facilities. They have team of coaches, psychologists, massage therapists, you name it. So you can't expect them to be more consistent, but the nerves always get in the way. But like I said, yeah, Misha Mitrofanov, his name has been around for a long time. And this new girl that he's skating with, Yefimova girl, they're amazing. They just need to be consistent and, deserve the spot and show the world what they have. So that's just the way I see it.
And then I think Audrey Shin and Balazs Nagy, they're with Bruno Marcotte. I know that they also work in Colorado. It'll be interesting to see what happens there.
I haven't seen them skate. Balazs is from North Carolina. He's from my hometown. He's from Raleigh, North Carolina. Technically, he was Hungarian. He's Hungarian, but he grew up and trained in the rink that I work at. I haven't seen them skate. I know they competed just a couple of weeks ago somewhere, probably to qualify for some events. I wish them all the best because Balazs is one of the best pair skaters out there in the United States for sure. But again, teaming up with the right partner is really important. They have to match technically, emotionally, physically. I mean, there's so many aspects of things that have to click when you're doing any kind of discipline. Singles, well, with pairs and dance, it's more difficult because it's two people working together. You know, you just have to be in unison in every aspect. So that's just my opinion. But I wish them all the best because I know how tough this is, and I'll do my best to sit there and support everybody.
Well, what was your moment of the Russian championships? I'm sure it was Mishina Galliamov. Was it your favorite? I have to say, Tarasova during the performance and afterwards, she was as excited as you were. And to me, it felt like old times because I know that for Sherbakova and
Yeah,
Kolyada were
yeah.
being the announcers for most of the broadcasts. But
Well, you know,
Tarasova,
when Mishina Galliamov got out there, it's, you know, I knew in my heart it has to be their best because that's how they work. They train, they get ready. And when Tarasova started going, great, awesome, beautiful. And that's like, great, because it's like, okay, it's expected now, you know, because they've done all the difficult things. And at first she was, and then she kind of, okay, well, that's it. They're doing it. So it was amazing to hear her reaction because it's the right reaction for that kind of skating. I mean, I could not hold myself still because like, oh, wow, wow. And my husband, I tortured him twice. Come on, first we watch on my phone because it's hard to watch this. Hard to find skating from Russia on regular television. I mean, you can't. Well, my mom is lucky she's got Russian television. She just called me, hey, they're showing nationals. Like, well, I already know everything because I'm ahead of the game. But I made him watch it on my phone. And he was like, wow, that was great. But then we found the way, we found this on YouTube and we watched on a big screen. It's even better. It's even better. And he doesn't know much about it, but he was like, wow, this is clean. This is fun. And that's coming from a regular person who doesn't know anything about skating. He knows she didn't fall. She didn't stumble. She didn't put her foot down because, you know, the girls sometimes do. And the lifts were amazing. And they smiled, and it was Michael Jackson. People can relate to it. So, I mean, it was amazing. Like Chalk and Bates last year long program touched my husband's heart to no end because Pink Floyd, I believe they did Pink Floyd. It was absolutely amazingly done. And he's a huge fan of that band. And he was like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. So, you know, and coming from a regular person, he could relate to what skaters were doing. It's pretty amazing. That's why you choose the music that actually people can relate to. They don't sit out. Sometimes I watch, I'm like, what was that all about? So I have to really go and think, okay, what is this? What's this music? Oh, that's what they're trying to portray. That's what they're trying to show. You know, I don't like that. I like to enjoy what I see. I like to understand what I see. And I think that's important part in figure skating, to be connected with the crowd. And judges are people, right? After all, they're human beings. They also like to be entertained, you know. But of course, you got to be careful with doing Swan Lake so many times because, like, not that again. How many times can you interpret a Swan Lake, you know? So that's why
I
this
love
day,
to see Swan Lake, but only if it's like a Sasha Cohen or an Oksana
yeah,
Bayova.
absolutely,
When you see
extremely, yeah.
Sofia Moraviova do it, to me, it's not the
Not
same.
the same, not the same exactly, because when Sasha did it, it would make you cry because that was so beautiful, so absolutely gorgeous. And Oksana did an amazing job as well. So, but then it's like Bolero, for example, Torvill and Dean. Okay, no one should be ever allowed to do that again. Well, Kamila Valieva did, and it was different. It was also amazing. But it started some conversation like she's too young to do this, and it was different interpretation. But certain music, just me, should not be ever used again if someone super famous made it super successful, because it's just, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I avoid using the music from famous skaters for my younger generation. I just feel like, what are we trying to do here? You know, but it's just me
You love
thinking.
to see it if it's the right skater, and like maybe Papadakis and Cizeron could have done Bolero, right? Like we saw Virtue and
Yeah.
Moyer do
Yes.
Carmen,
Yes.
right? Ilinik
Yeah.
Katsalapov did Swan Lake, but
Yeah.
for me, for seeing Zagitova or Muravyova do some classic to me, I think it actually lowers what I think of.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. Yes, I agree. Yes, some skaters can. But again, if let's say Papadakis and Cizeron did Bolero, the problem is it will always be compared to Torvill and Dean. Do you want to put yourself through that torture?
Some skaters do because they feel they are just as great, and maybe it makes
I
them.
don't know.
Fun,
That would not be me. That would not be me.
I will
You
say
know,
Papadakis and Cizeron did a great Moonlight Sonata, which goes.
yeah, that's my favorite program of all times. Absolutely. In the first World Professional Championship, Dennis and I competed with Katya and Sergey. We
Mhm.
both did Nutcracker. When we ended up in practice and both of us realized they're doing theirs, we're doing ours, it was like, oops, and there's no way you can say they did a better job or it was just a coincidence. And I
Mhm.
think we both did a good job and it was just fine. But again, we didn't do it on purpose because our long program at the Olympics was that, and it made a lot of sense just to keep it as a professional program. We shortened it a little bit, but Katya and Seki did their own version, and it was amazing as well. So it's just it happens. But I would never myself as a professional skater choose something that someone else already used and made it super world known. It's like Alexei Yagudin's Winter. I mean, seriously, should not be touched. That Olympic performance that he did, that program with black and white outfit, that's one of the best programs of all times. Like when people do it, I'm like, I know who did it better. It's the way it is.
So do you
So
have so Yvonne Gomez asked me for her birthday, she wanted my list of favorite performances, and the prompt was Renee and Gorsha's Nina Simone program from Stars on Ice. What would be
mhm.
on your list this holiday season if you're going to watch skating before bed and watch something that you think is perfect? Like what performance can you watch over and over and see something different every time?
Oof, tough one. Pair skating, probably, I don't even know what to say. Mishkutyonok and Dmitriev.
Mhm.
Their long program in 1992 World Championships because they were finally perfectly clean, and the Dream of Love was just the best ever. I love that program. It was flawless.
Mhm.
Dance, Papadakis and Cizeron, that program Moonlight, yes, absolutely. Singles, that's difficult because I loved a lot of Nathan Chan's programs, and
Mhm.
Alexei Yagudin's Winter would be one of them as well. The
Mhm.
ladies, the girls, there's hard to choose. Honestly, there were so many, but probably one of Sasha Cohen's programs when she was clean.
Mhm.
Multiple Michelle Kwan's. See, I'm going back to older generation, right?
That's
Because those were the days. I mean, I might be biased on that perspective, but I think the old school was a little bit more outgoing. People could understand better because the rules were different. You were not so focused on quad this and triple that, and the spin had to be this and that and the other. I mean, Nancy Kerrigan's, a lot of her performances really touched my heart. Christian Maguchi. I mean, there's so many to choose from. I
Mhm.
cannot give you that straight answer
I will
on
say I'll
singles.
add Dorothy Hamill's PASU on the list for one thing to watch over the holidays to watch.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, definitely that. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming
You're
on. It's
welcome.
so much fun to talk to you. Thank you so much, Elena.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy holidays for
Yes.
all, to all.
Bye.